Zara's fingers still carried traces of midnight blue paint when the museum director handed her the check. $75 million for a collection that started with stolen spray cans and abandoned warehouse walls. Maybe you know this feeling, that ache of creating something beautiful while the world calls it worthless. The way your heart pounds when you pour your soul into your work, only to hear, "That's not a real career," from everyone around you. The quiet desperation of watching your bank account shrink while your artistic vision grows. Zara had felt it too. Every night for 8 years, she'd climbed fire escapes and crawled through broken fences, turning forgotten corners of the city into galleries that only shadows would see. While her real dreams, the legitimate studio, the respected exhibitions, the life where creativity paid the bills, seemed as impossible as catching moonlight in a mason jar. Hey there. Tonight, you'll discover how Zara's moment of artistic awakening can unlock your own courage to transform passion into prosperity. Before you drift off into this riverside journey, hit like if stories about creative transformation speak to your soul, and subscribe to join others who believe art and abundance can dance together. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and how many nights you've been painting your dreams into reality with us. This community's creative commitment inspires me deeply. Now settle in beside the gentle flowing river and let your mind absorb this story of artistic breakthrough. But tonight was different. Tonight, as Zara walked along the illuminated Riverside Art District, string lights reflecting like scattered stars on the water's surface, she remembered the exact moment everything changed. The moment she stopped asking permission to call herself an artist and started demanding the world pay attention. You'll experience those final nights in the underground tunnels, feeling the weight of creative desperation as if it were your own. The gallery owner who saw genius in what others called vandalism. The first commission that changed everything. The terrifying month when she had to choose between rent money and art supplies. But you'll also witness something extraordinary. The gradual awakening of a woman who stopped separating creativity from commerce, who discovered that the universe rewards authentic expression with abundant compensation, who learned that true artistry isn't the rejection of money. It's the courage to value your gifts so highly that wealth becomes inevitable. Tonight, as Zara's story unfolds along these moonlit gallery walls, your subconscious mind will begin to recognize that the same creative abundance lives within you. Her journey becomes your permission to stop starving for your art and start prospering because of it. So breathe deeply. Let your body sink into comfort, like paint soaking into canvas, and prepare to witness a transformation that will paint new possibilities across the landscape of your sleeping mind. You're already halfway across the stone bridge when you notice her. Zara stands leaning against the ornate iron railing, her silhouette framed by the warm glow of gallery lights, reflecting off the gentle river below. The evening air carries the scent of blooming jasmine from the nearby gardens, mixed with the faint aroma of oil paints and turpentine drifting from the open studio windows along the riverside walk. "I was wondering when you'd find me here," she says, turning toward you with a smile that carries both mischief and hard-earned wisdom. Her dark hair catches the amber light from the vintage street lamps, and you notice how her paint-stained fingers move expressively as she speaks, as if her hands are perpetually creating invisible masterpieces in the air around her. You settle beside her on the bridge, feeling the warm stone beneath you, as the last traces of sunset paint the sky in shades of coral and gold. The river flows beneath you, with a gentle, rhythmic sound that seems to match the peaceful beating of your heart In the distance, you can hear the soft murmur of conversation from the evening art walk, punctuated by the occasional laugh or the gentle clink of wine glasses from the gallery openings. "You know," Zara begins, her voice carrying the cadence of someone who has learned to find poetry in even the most practical conversations. 8 years ago, I was standing on a different bridge, about 3 miles upstream from here, in the part of the city where the streetlights are broken more often than they work, and the only galleries are the ones I painted on the sides of abandoned buildings. As she speaks, you find yourself naturally relaxing deeper into the evening atmosphere, allowing her words to flow over you like the gentle river current below. The string lights strung between the lampposts create a canopy of warm illumination above your heads, and you can feel your breathing naturally slowing to match the peaceful rhythm of the water and the unhurried pace of her storytelling. "I remember that night so clearly," she continues, and as her words begin to paint pictures in your mind, you feel yourself sinking deeper into the comfort of this moment, this bridge, this perfect evening where transformation stories unfold like flowers blooming in slow motion. "I was carrying a backpack full of stolen spray cans. Well, I told myself I'd borrowed them from the hardware store where I worked part-time, and I was trying to decide whether to throw myself off that bridge or throw the paint cans off instead. The evening breeze carries with it the sound of distant jazz music from one of the riverside cafes, and you find yourself becoming more and more absorbed in Zara's story, feeling as if her memories are becoming your own, her transformation journey becoming a map that your subconscious mind can follow toward your own creative and financial awakening. "I chose the paint cans," she says with a soft laugh that seems to harmonize with the river's gentle song. "Threw them one by one into the water, watching the colors explode like fireworks beneath the surface. Red, blue, yellow, green, all that potential just dissolving into the current. And then I stood there, completely empty-handed, and realized that throwing away my tools wasn't the same as throwing away my problems." You notice how completely relaxed you've become as you listen, your body naturally finding the perfect position against the bridge's railing, your mind opening like a canvas, ready to receive the images and insights that Zara's story is beginning to paint across your consciousness. The gentle sounds of the evening, the water, the distant conversations, the soft rustle of leaves in the warm breeze, create a perfect backdrop for the deeper truths that are beginning to emerge. "That's when I met Jerome," Zara says, and something in her voice shifts, becoming softer, more reverent. "He was a security guard at the construction site right next to that bridge, had been watching me from his little booth, probably wondering if he needed to call someone. But instead of reporting me, he walked over and said something I'll never forget." As Zara pauses, you find yourself leaning slightly forward, naturally drawn deeper into her story, feeling how each word she speaks seems to resonate not just in your ears, but throughout your entire being, as if her experiences are becoming threads in the tapestry of your own understanding about creativity, value, and the mysterious ways that passion can transform into prosperity. He said, "Young lady, you've got the wrong attitude about destruction. If you're going to throw paint around, why not throw it at something that could use some beauty instead of throwing it away where nobody can see it?" Zara's voice carries the warmth of someone recounting a moment that changed everything. And then he pointed to this massive concrete wall that surrounded the construction site, 30 feet high, probably 300 feet long. Nothing but gray, ugly concrete that had been an eyesore in the neighborhood for months. The river below continues its gentle flow, and you find that with each word Zara speaks, you're naturally settling deeper into a state of peaceful receptivity, your conscious mind becoming quieter, while your deeper awareness becomes more and more attuned to the transformational principles that are beginning to emerge from her story. Jerome unlocked the gate to the construction site and handed me a flashlight. "It's Friday night," he said. "They won't be back until Monday morning. And between you and me, I think this neighborhood could use something beautiful to look at while they finish building whatever corporate thing is going up here." Zara's hands move as she speaks, sketching invisible shapes in the evening air. That was the moment everything changed, though I didn't know it yet. You feel yourself becoming more and more absorbed in the story, as if you're being gently drawn into a state where Zara's experiences become your own, where her journey of transformation becomes a lived experience that your subconscious mind can integrate and learn from, naturally and effortlessly. "I spent that entire weekend on that wall," she continues, "and you can almost feel the spray paint can in your own hand, can almost smell the chemical sweetness of the paint mixing with the night air. I painted my first real mural, not just tagging or quick pieces that I had to finish before someone chased me away, but a real composition, a phoenix rising from what looked like concrete flames with wings that seemed to stretch beyond the boundaries of the wall itself." As she describes the mural, you find images forming naturally in your mind, vivid and detailed, as if you had been there watching the creation unfold. And with these images comes a deeper understanding, a recognition that begins to settle into your consciousness like paint soaking into canvas, about how creative expression can become a foundation for financial abundance. "By Sunday afternoon, there was a crowd," Zara says, and her voice carries a note of wonder that suggests she still can't quite believe what happened next. People bringing their friends, taking pictures, kids asking if they could try painting too. Someone had started a hashtag on social media. By Monday morning, when the construction crew came back, there were news vans and everything. The string lights above you seem to pulse gently with the rhythm of your breathing, and you notice how perfectly comfortable you've become, how naturally your body has found its ideal position for deep listening, for absorbing not just the story, but the deeper truths that are woven throughout Zara's journey. "The construction company could have painted over it," she continues, "but the project manager took one look at the crowd, listened to the interviews people were giving about how the mural had transformed the whole feeling of the neighborhood, and decided to build the wall into their final design. They offered me $2,000 to create 3 more murals on the other walls." You feel a warm sensation spreading through your chest as you absorb this part of the story, recognizing somewhere deep in your being that this moment represents something larger than just one artist's breakthrough. It represents the principle that when you align your authentic gifts with genuine service to others, abundance naturally follows. $2,000, Zara repeats, and her voice carries the memory of what that amount meant to someone who had been living on ramen noodles and sleeping on friends' couches. I had never been paid for my art before, never even imagined that someone would voluntarily give me money for something that I loved doing so much. It was like discovering that breathing could be a profitable career. The evening air carries with it the sound of a street musician's guitar from somewhere along the riverside walk, the melody weaving naturally into the fabric of Zara's story, creating an atmosphere that feels both magical and deeply grounding, a perfect environment for the transformational insights that are beginning to take root in your consciousness. But the real transformation wasn't the money, she says, turning to look directly at you, her eyes reflecting the warm light from the gallery windows across the river. It was the moment I realized that creating beauty wasn't separate from creating value, that my art could be both deeply personal and genuinely useful to others, that serving the world with my gifts was actually the most direct path to prosperity. As these words settle into your awareness, you feel something shifting in your own understanding, as if invisible barriers in your mind are dissolving like watercolors bleeding into wet paper. The distinction between passion and profit, between creativity and commerce, begins to blur and transform into something more integrated, more whole. Within 6 months, I had completed 12 commissioned murals around the city. Zara continues, and you can feel the momentum of her story building like layers of paint, creating depth and richness on a canvas. Each one taught me something new about the business of beauty, how to price my work, how to manage client expectations, how to translate their vision into something that honored both their needs and my artistic integrity. The gentle sound of the river below seems to carry away any resistance you might have to fully absorbing these lessons, these insights about how creative gifts can become the foundation for genuine financial freedom. You find yourself naturally opening to receive not just Zara's story, but the deeper principles that it illustrates about abundance, creativity, and the mysterious alchemy through which passion becomes prosperity. The breakthrough came during my 13th commission, she says, and something in her tone suggests that this next part of the story contains the most important transformation of all. A tech company wanted me to paint something in their lobby. Corporate art, you know? I almost said no because it seemed like selling out. But then I realized that my attitude about selling out was really just fear dressed up as artistic integrity. You feel yourself sinking even deeper into the peaceful receptivity of the evening, your breathing naturally synchronizing with the gentle rhythm of Zara's words, your mind becoming like a perfectly prepared canvas, ready to receive whatever wisdom emerges from the next phase of her journey. I took the commission, she continues, but I negotiated something that changed everything. Instead of just creating one mural for their lobby, I proposed creating a series of works that would tell the story of innovation and transformation, something that would inspire their employees every day, that would become part of their company culture. I pitched it not as decoration, but as an investment in human inspiration. As she speaks, you begin to understand something profound about the relationship between authentic service and financial abundance. You recognize that Zara's success came not from compromising her artistic vision, but from expanding it to include genuine service to others, from finding ways to make her gifts more valuable to the world around her. They paid me $50,000 for that series, Zara says, and even now, years later, you can hear the wonder in her voice. $50,000 for doing what I loved, for creating beauty, for serving others with my gifts. And that's when I realized that everything I had believed about money and art was backwards. The lights from the galleries across the river dance on the water's surface like scattered stars, and you find yourself naturally absorbing not just the facts of Zara's story, but the deeper truth that it represents. The understanding that when you fully align your gifts with genuine service, abundance becomes not just possible, but inevitable. I had thought that making money from art meant corrupting the purity of creativity, she continues, her voice taking on the cadence of someone who has discovered a profound truth. But what I discovered was exactly the opposite. The more successfully I could serve others with my art, the more resources I had to create even more meaningful work. Money wasn't the enemy of creativity. It was creativity's most powerful ally. You feel these insights settling into your consciousness like seeds finding fertile soil, taking root in the deeper layers of your mind where transformational change begins. The evening air seems to carry these understandings directly into your being, where they can germinate and grow into new possibilities for your own relationship with creativity, service, and abundance. Within 2 years, I had opened my first gallery, Zara says, and you can feel the excitement building in her voice, the joy of someone who has discovered that their deepest dreams were not only possible, but actually inevitable once they aligned their actions with the correct principles. A converted warehouse in the Arts District, about half a mile downstream from here. As she gestures toward the area she's describing, you find yourself naturally following her gaze, and as you do, you feel yourself becoming even more deeply absorbed in her story, as if you're not just listening to her experiences, but actually living through them yourself, feeling the emotions, making the discoveries, learning the lessons that transformed her from a struggling street artist into a multi-million-dollar gallery owner. But I didn't want to just showcase my own work, she continues, and something in her tone reveals the generosity of spirit that has been woven throughout her journey toward prosperity. I wanted to create a platform for other artists who were struggling the way I had struggled. Artists who had incredible gifts, but didn't know how to translate those gifts into sustainable careers. The river below continues its gentle flow, and you find that with each word Zara speaks, you're naturally settling deeper into a state of peaceful understanding, your mind becoming more and more receptive to the transformational principles that are emerging from her story, like colors bleeding from a watercolor brush into clear water. I started teaching workshops, she says, her hands moving expressively as she describes this next phase of her evolution. Not just about technique or artistic skills, but about the business of being an artist. How to price your work so that you honor both your own needs and your clients' budgets. How to market yourself authentically without feeling like you're compromising your artistic integrity. How to build relationships with collectors and commissioners who truly value what you create. You feel yourself naturally absorbing these concepts, not just intellectually, but on a deeper level, as if your subconscious mind is taking notes, creating an internal library of wisdom about how passion can become the foundation for genuine financial freedom. Within 5 years, the gallery had become a movement, Zara continues, and her voice carries the satisfaction of someone who has discovered that success is even more meaningful when it's shared. We were representing 47 artists, hosting monthly exhibitions that drew visitors from around the world, and running educational programs that had helped hundreds of creative people transform their gifts into sustainable careers. As she describes this expansion, you begin to understand something profound about the nature of true prosperity. That it's not just about individual success, but about creating systems and communities that allow abundance to flow through many people, that multiply value rather than just capturing it. The interesting thing, Zara says, turning to face you more directly, was that the more successful I became at helping other artists prosper, the more my own work appreciated in value. It was as if the market recognized that my art was part of something larger than just individual expression. It was part of a movement toward recognizing creativity as a legitimate and valuable contribution to society. The evening breeze carries with it the distant sound of applause from one of the gallery openings, and you find yourself naturally smiling, feeling a warm sense of connection, not just to Zara's story, but to the larger community of creative people who have learned to honor their gifts by making them genuinely valuable to others. By year 7, we had galleries in 4 cities, she continues, her voice taking on the rhythm of someone who is sharing not just personal history, but universal principles about how abundance works in the real world. Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, and Portland. Each one anchored by local artists, each one serving as both a showcase for established talent and an incubator for emerging voices. You feel yourself becoming more and more absorbed in the vision that Zara is painting with her words, understanding that her success represents something much larger than just one person's journey from poverty to prosperity. It represents an entire model for how creative gifts can become the foundation for transformational abundance. The acquisition offer came during our 8th year, she says, and something in her tone suggests that this next part of the story contains the culmination of everything that came before. The Metropolitan Museum of Art had been following our work, watching how we had created not just galleries, but entire ecosystems that supported artistic careers. They wanted to acquire our entire operation, not just the artwork, but the methodology, the educational programs, the community we had built. As she pauses, you find yourself leaning slightly forward again, naturally drawn deeper into this moment of ultimate transformation, feeling as if you're about to witness the demonstration of a principle that could change everything about how you understand the relationship between creativity and prosperity. $75 million, Zara says, and her voice carries not just amazement, but a deep sense of completion, as if this number represents not just financial success, but the full recognition of everything she had been working toward. For a collection that started with stolen spray cans and a construction site wall. For a movement that began with one person deciding to stop throwing away their tools and start building something beautiful instead. You feel a profound sense of recognition settling into your consciousness, understanding that Zara's journey represents something that is available to anyone who is willing to align their authentic gifts with genuine service, who is ready to stop separating passion from prosperity and start recognizing creativity as one of the most powerful forces for abundance in the universe. But you know what the most beautiful part was? She asks, and her voice carries the tenderness of someone who has discovered that the greatest rewards are often the ones that can't be measured in dollars. The acquisition included a commitment to continue funding our educational programs in perpetuity. Every artist we had helped, every person who had discovered they could make a living from their creativity, that work would continue forever. The string lights above you seem to pulse gently with the rhythm of your heartbeat, and you find yourself naturally settling into an even deeper state of peaceful receptivity, your mind opening like a flower to receive the full implications of what Zara's story represents. Success, I learned, isn't just about individual achievement, she continues, her words flowing over you like gentle water over smooth stones. It's about creating value that ripples outward, that makes the world more beautiful, and makes it easier for others to succeed as well. When you align your gifts with service, abundance becomes not just personal, but communal. As these words settle into your awareness, you feel something profound shifting in your own understanding of success, creativity, and abundance. The old beliefs about struggling artists and starving for your art begin to dissolve like morning mist, replaced by a clear understanding that creativity is actually one of the most direct paths to prosperity when it's aligned with authentic service. I still paint, Zara says, her voice becoming softer, more intimate, as if she's sharing a secret that she doesn't tell everyone. Every morning, before I do anything else, I spend 2 hours in my studio, not for commission or exhibition, but just for the pure joy of creating, for the meditation of watching colors blend and shapes emerge. You find yourself naturally breathing more deeply as she describes this daily practice, understanding that this commitment to pure creativity is not separate from her business success, but actually the foundation of it. That maintaining connection to the joy of creation is what keeps the abundance flowing. And what I've discovered, she continues, is that the more financially free I become, the more creative freedom I have as well. The money doesn't corrupt the art, it liberates it. When you're not worried about paying rent or buying supplies, when you're not stressed about survival, your creativity can flow from a much deeper and more authentic place. The river below continues its gentle journey toward the sea, and you feel yourself naturally flowing along with Zara's insights, allowing her wisdom to carry you toward your own deeper understanding of how creativity and abundance can support and amplify each other. I keep that first mural in my private collection, she says, and something in her voice suggests that this piece represents not just the beginning of her career, but the symbol of a fundamental truth about how transformation happens. The phoenix rising from concrete flames. Because every time I look at it, I remember that my greatest breakthrough came not from having perfect conditions or unlimited resources, but from deciding to create beauty exactly where I was, with exactly what I had. As she speaks these words, you feel them resonating deep in your consciousness, recognizing a principle that applies not just to artistic creation, but to every area of life where you want to experience transformation and abundance. The understanding that you don't need perfect conditions to begin creating value. You just need to start where you are, with what you have. Want to see something amazing? Zara asks, and without waiting for your answer, she begins walking slowly along the bridge toward the far side, where a small path leads down to the riverside walk. You find yourself naturally following, feeling completely relaxed and open as you move through the warm evening air. As you walk beside her, you notice how the galleries along the river create a continuous flow of light and activity, each space glowing with its own unique energy while contributing to the larger atmosphere of creativity and community. The sound of your footsteps on the stone path creates a gentle rhythm that seems to harmonize with the river's flow and the distant music drifting from the various venues. This entire district, Zara says, gesturing to the galleries, studios, and creative spaces that line both sides of the river, didn't exist 8 years ago. It was all empty warehouses and broken streetlights. But success has a way of creating more success. When one artist thrives, it creates space for others to thrive as well. You feel yourself naturally absorbing this insight about how abundance works, not as a zero-sum game where one person's success comes at the expense of others, but as an expanding circle where each person's prosperity creates more opportunities for everyone around them. That gallery there, she says, pointing to a beautifully converted brick building with large windows that glow warmly in the evening light, is run by 3 of my former students. They specialize in sustainable art, pieces made from recycled materials, installations that actually improve the environment. Last year, they did $2 million in sales. As you look toward the gallery she's indicating, you can see people moving gracefully through the space, examining artwork, engaging in animated conversations, clearly drawn into the magic of creative expression. The scene fills you with a warm sense of possibility, a recognition that creative success is not just possible, but actually quite natural when it's approached with the right understanding. And that sculpture garden, Zara continues, gesturing toward an outdoor space where large metal and stone pieces are illuminated by carefully placed spotlights. showcases work by artists from our incubator program. People who were washing dishes or driving delivery trucks 2 years ago and are now supporting their families with their art. You find yourself naturally slowing your pace as you take in the beauty of the sculpture garden, feeling how each piece seems to capture and reflect the light in its own unique way, creating an outdoor cathedral of human creativity. The warm evening air carries with it the subtle fragrance of night-blooming flowers planted throughout the garden, adding another layer of sensory richness to the experience. Zara says, her voice taking on the rhythm of someone who is sharing hard-earned wisdom, is that it's not just about the money, though the money is wonderful and important. It's about the freedom to create without limitation, the ability to serve others with your gifts, the joy of watching your success create opportunities for people you care about. As she speaks, you feel these concepts settling into your consciousness like layers of paint, creating depth and richness on a canvas. The understanding that true abundance is multidimensional, encompassing not just financial prosperity, but creative freedom, meaningful service, and the deep satisfaction that comes from using your gifts to make the world more beautiful. I think that's why the museum wanted to acquire our work, she continues, as you reach a small seating area overlooking the river, where comfortable benches are positioned to take advantage of the view. They recognized that we had created something more valuable than just individual artworks. We had created a methodology for transforming creativity into community prosperity. You settle onto one of the benches beside Zara, feeling the warm stone beneath you and the gentle evening breeze on your skin. The river flows peacefully below, and across the water, you can see the lights of more galleries, more studios, more spaces where creativity and commerce have learned to dance together in perfect harmony. Sit here for a moment, Zara says, her voice becoming even softer, more contemplative. And let me share with you the most important thing I learned during this entire journey. As you settle more deeply into the comfort of the evening, feeling completely relaxed and open, you find yourself naturally entering a state of profound receptivity, your mind becoming like perfectly prepared canvas, ready to receive whatever wisdom Zara is about to share. The biggest barrier to creative abundance, she begins, her words flowing over you like gentle water over smooth stones, isn't lack of talent or lack of opportunity or even lack of resources. It's the belief that there's something noble about struggling, something pure about poverty, something corrupting about success. You feel these words penetrating deep into your consciousness, dissolving old patterns of thought like warm water, dissolving watercolor paint, creating space for new understanding to emerge. I spent years believing that real artists were supposed to suffer for their art, she continues, that financial success was somehow a betrayal of creative authenticity. But what I discovered was exactly the opposite. When you're struggling to survive, when you're stressed about money, when you're working survival jobs that drain your energy, that's when your creativity suffers. As she speaks, you begin to recognize how these old beliefs might have been operating in your own consciousness, creating invisible barriers to your own creative and financial abundance. And as you recognize these patterns, you feel them naturally beginning to dissolve, like morning fog dissipating in warm sunlight. Abundance is creativity's natural state, Zara says, her voice carrying the authority of someone who has tested this principle in the real world and found it to be absolutely true. When you have the resources you need, when you're not worried about survival, when you can focus completely on your gifts and how to serve others with them, that's when your creativity can flow from its deepest and most authentic source. You feel this understanding settling into your being like seeds, finding perfect soil, recognizing that this principle applies not just to traditional artistic endeavors, but to creativity in all its forms. Business creativity, problem-solving creativity, the creativity required to build a life that truly serves your highest potential. And here's the beautiful paradox, she continues, her hands moving expressively as she speaks, painting invisible pictures in the evening air. The more you honor your creativity by making it financially sustainable, the more creative you become. Success doesn't diminish inspiration. It amplifies it. The string lights reflecting on the water below create patterns that seem to dance with the rhythm of Zara's words, and you find yourself naturally breathing more deeply, allowing these insights to penetrate not just your conscious understanding, but the deeper layers of your mind where beliefs are formed and transformed. I want you to try something, Zara says, turning to face you more directly, her eyes reflecting the warm glow of the gallery lights across the river. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you're standing in front of an enormous blank canvas. Not a small canvas, not a medium-sized canvas, but a canvas so large that it stretches beyond the boundaries of your vision. As you follow her guidance, closing your eyes and allowing this image to form in your mind, you find yourself naturally settling even deeper into the peaceful evening atmosphere. Your breathing becoming slow and regular as your imagination begins to create the scene she's describing. This canvas represents your life, she continues, her voice becoming softer, more hypnotic, perfectly calibrated to guide you into an even deeper state of receptivity. And you're holding not just one brush, but dozens of brushes, some for fine detail work, some for broad strokes, some for blending colors, some for creating texture. As she speaks, you can feel the imaginary brushes in your hands, can sense their different weights and possibilities, can feel the excitement of unlimited creative potential waiting to be expressed. The paints on your palette are not ordinary paints, Zara's voice continues, flowing over you like warm honey, but special paints that represent all of your gifts, all of your talents, all of your unique ways of creating value in the world. There's the paint of your natural abilities, the paint of your learned skills, the paint of your life experiences, the paint of your unique perspective. You feel yourself becoming completely absorbed in this visualization, your conscious mind growing quieter as your imagination becomes more and more vivid, more and more real. And as you begin to paint, she continues, you discover something magical. Each brushstroke you make not only creates beauty on the canvas, but also attracts resources to support your continued creation. Every color you apply draws to you the people, opportunities, and abundance you need to keep painting. As you visualize yourself painting this enormous canvas of your life, you begin to feel a profound sense of possibility opening in your consciousness, a recognition that your creative gifts are not separate from your capacity for abundance, but actually the foundation of it. You paint with complete freedom, Zara's voice continues, knowing that every stroke serves both your own creative expression and the needs of the world around you. You paint businesses that solve real problems. You paint relationships that create mutual prosperity. You paint innovations that make life more beautiful for everyone they touch. The visualization becomes more and more vivid as she speaks, and you begin to see and feel yourself creating not just art, but an entire life that honors both your deepest creativity and your practical needs for abundance and security. And as your painting grows, she continues, You begin to notice other artists working on their own enormous canvases nearby. You realize that the space of creation is infinite, that there's room for everyone to paint their masterpiece, that each person's success actually makes it easier for others to succeed as well. You feel a warm sense of community and collaboration flowing through the visualization, understanding that abundance is not competitive, but collaborative, that creativity shared multiplies rather than diminishes. You begin to trade techniques with other artists. Zara's voice continues, sharing brushes, mixing colors together, creating collaborative sections where your individual canvases connect and support each other. You discover that giving away your knowledge doesn't diminish your own creativity. It amplifies it. As this sense of creative community becomes more and more real in your imagination, you feel old patterns of scarcity and competition naturally dissolving, replaced by an understanding that collaboration and generosity are actually the fastest paths to personal abundance. Now, Zara says, her voice becoming even softer, even more soothing, I want you to step back from your canvas and see what you've created. See how your authentic gifts have become the foundation for a life of both creative fulfillment and material prosperity. See how serving others with your unique talents has attracted all the resources you need to continue creating at an even higher level. As you step back in your imagination and view the masterpiece you've been creating, you feel a profound sense of completion and possibility, recognizing that this vision represents not just a fantasy, but a real potential that exists within you, waiting to be actualized through aligned action and clear intention. This painting you've created, Zara continues, this life of creative abundance is not just possible for you. It's inevitable when you align your gifts with service, when you stop believing that struggle is noble and start recognizing that prosperity is your natural birthright as a creative being. You feel these words settling deep into your subconscious mind, taking root in the fertile soil of your sleeping consciousness, where they can germinate and grow into new beliefs, new possibilities, new patterns of thought and action that support your highest creative and financial potential. Open your eyes slowly, Zara says, her voice maintaining its gentle, hypnotic quality. And notice how the evening around us reflects the same principles you've just experienced in your visualization. As you gradually open your eyes, returning your attention to the peaceful riverside scene, you find that everything around you seems somehow more vivid, more alive, more full of possibility than it was before. The galleries across the river glow with renewed significance, representing not just artistic expression, but successful fusion of creativity and commerce. This entire district, Zara says, gesturing to the thriving creative community surrounding you, is the physical manifestation of what you just experienced in your imagination. Dozens of artists who learned to honor their gifts by making them financially sustainable, who discovered that serving others with their creativity is the most direct path to abundance. As you look around with your newly opened eyes, you begin to see the evening scene with deeper understanding. Each gallery, each studio, each creative space represents someone who made the decision to stop struggling for their art and start prospering because of it. Zara continues, her voice taking on the rhythm of someone who is sharing the deepest secrets of success, is that once you truly understand these principles, once you feel them in your bones, rather than just thinking about them in your head, the external changes begin to happen almost automatically. You feel a gentle warmth spreading through your chest as she speaks, recognizing that something has indeed shifted in your fundamental understanding of how creativity and abundance relate to each other. It's like learning to ride a bicycle, she continues, her voice maintaining its soothing, contemplative quality. Once your body understands how to balance, how to pedal, how to steer, you don't have to think about the mechanics anymore. You just ride, naturally and effortlessly. The river below continues its gentle flow toward the sea, and you find yourself naturally synchronizing your breathing with its rhythm, feeling completely peaceful and aligned as Zara continues to share her insights. Within 6 months of making this internal shift, she says, I noticed that opportunities began appearing everywhere I looked. Clients who had never heard of me started calling. Other artists wanted to collaborate. Galleries that had previously ignored my work suddenly wanted to feature it prominently. As she describes this natural flow of abundance, you begin to understand that success is not something you have to chase or fight for, but something that flows naturally toward you when you align your consciousness with the correct principles. It wasn't that the external world had changed, Zara continues, but that my internal alignment had created a kind of magnetic field that attracted exactly the resources and opportunities I needed to manifest my vision. You feel yourself naturally absorbing this understanding, recognizing that the real work of creating abundance happens not in the external world of action and effort, but in the internal world of consciousness and alignment. And the most beautiful part, she says, her voice carrying a note of wonder that suggests she still marvels at how elegantly these principles work, is that the more successful I became, the more I was able to help others achieve their own creative and financial breakthroughs. Success became not just personal, but communal. The evening air carries with it the distant sound of laughter from one of the gallery openings, and you find yourself naturally smiling, feeling connected not just to Zara's story, but to the larger community of creative people who have learned to honor their gifts by making them genuinely valuable to others. This is why the museum acquisition was so meaningful, Zara continues, her voice taking on the cadence of someone who is sharing the culmination of a profound journey. It wasn't just recognition of individual achievement, but validation of an entire approach to creativity and commerce that proves they don't have to be in opposition to each other. As the evening deepens around you, the string lights seem to grow brighter against the darkening sky, creating an even more magical atmosphere. You find yourself settling deeper into the bench, feeling completely relaxed and open as Zara's story continues to unfold around you, like layers of paint, creating depth and meaning on an infinite canvas. You know what I think about every night before I fall asleep? Zara asks, her voice becoming softer, more intimate, as if she's sharing something precious that she doesn't tell everyone. I think about that moment on the bridge 8 years ago, when I was ready to throw away everything. And I feel so grateful that I chose creation over destruction, that I chose to build something beautiful instead of surrendering to despair. The gentle sound of the river flowing below creates a perfect backdrop for her words, and you find yourself naturally breathing more slowly, more deeply, allowing each word to sink into your consciousness, like seeds finding fertile ground in your subconscious mind. Because here's what I've learned, she continues, her hands moving gracefully as she speaks. Every moment of despair, every moment when you feel like giving up on your dreams, is actually a moment of transformation waiting to happen. It's the universe asking you, are you ready to let go of the old patterns that aren't serving you and step into the abundance that's been waiting for you all along? As she speaks these words, You feel them resonating deep in your being, recognizing that this principle applies not just to artistic careers, but to every area of life where you want to experience transformation and growth. The understanding that moments of crisis are actually moments of opportunity, moments when new possibilities can be born. Let's walk a little further, Zara suggests, rising gracefully from the bench and extending her hand toward you. There's something I want to show you that perfectly illustrates what I mean about transformation happening in unexpected moments. You find yourself naturally rising and following her along the riverside path, feeling completely comfortable and relaxed as you move through the warm evening air. The galleries and studios continue to glow warmly on both sides of the river, creating a continuous flow of creative energy that seems to pulse with the rhythm of your footsteps. As you walk, you notice how the sound of your steps on the stone path creates a gentle percussion that harmonizes with the river's flow and the distant sounds of conversation and music from the various venues. Everything seems perfectly orchestrated, as if the entire evening is a symphony designed to support the insights and transformations that are taking place in your consciousness. Right here, Zara says, stopping beside a small plaza where a beautiful fountain creates gentle, rhythmic sounds as water cascades over carved stone surfaces. This is where my second major breakthrough happened, about 3 years after I opened the first gallery. As you settle beside the fountain, feeling the cool mist on your skin and hearing the soothing sound of flowing water, you find yourself naturally entering an even deeper state of relaxation and receptivity. The combination of sensory experiences, the visual beauty of the fountain, the sound of the water, the warm evening air, Zara's gentle voice, creates perfect conditions for profound insight and transformation. I was going through what felt like a creative crisis, she continues, her voice blending beautifully with the sound of the fountain. The gallery was successful. We were representing dozens of artists, but I felt like I had lost connection with my own creative center. I was so busy managing the business that I hadn't painted anything personal in months. You feel yourself naturally empathizing with this experience, understanding how easy it can be to lose sight of your core passion when you're building success around it. The fountain's gentle spray creates tiny rainbows in the evening light, and you find these visual patterns somehow perfectly illustrating the complexity of balancing creativity with commerce. I came here one evening, feeling completely overwhelmed and wondering if I had made a terrible mistake. Zara continues, her reflection visible in the fountain's pool as she speaks. I was questioning everything, whether success was worth it, whether I should go back to just creating for myself, whether I had sold out by building a business around my art. As she describes this period of doubt and questioning, you recognize how universal this experience is, how growth often involves periods of uncertainty and recalibration, moments when old identities no longer fit, but new ones haven't yet fully formed. I sat right here, she says, patting the stone edge of the fountain, and I started crying. Not gentle tears, but big, ugly sobs of confusion and exhaustion. And that's when something extraordinary happened. The evening breeze carries with it the faint sound of a piano from one of the nearby cafes, the melody weaving naturally into the fabric of Zara's story and creating an atmosphere that feels both deeply peaceful and charged with possibility. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, came running over from where her family was having dinner at that cafe. Zara continues, pointing toward a charming outdoor restaurant with tables lit by candles and fairy lights. She had been watching me cry, and she came over and said, "Lady, Why are you sad when you're sitting next to such a beautiful fountain? You feel yourself naturally smiling at this image, understanding that sometimes the most profound wisdom comes from the most unexpected sources, that clarity often arrives disguised as innocent observation. And then she said something that changed everything. Zara continues, her voice carrying the wonder of someone recounting a moment of divine intervention. She said, "My mommy says that when water flows, it makes everything around it more beautiful. Maybe your tears are like water too. Maybe they're making something beautiful that you just can't see yet." As these words settle into your consciousness, you feel something profound shifting in your understanding of struggle, growth, and transformation. The recognition that difficult emotions, like water, can be forces of creation and renewal rather than just sources of pain. I looked at this fountain with completely new eyes, Zara continues, her voice taking on the rhythm of someone who has discovered a fundamental truth about how transformation works. I realized that the water's beauty didn't come from avoiding obstacles, but from flowing around them, over them, through them. The fountain was magnificent, not despite the stones that shaped its flow, but because of them. The gentle mist from the fountain seems to carry these insights directly into your being, where they settle like morning dew on fertile ground. You begin to understand that resistance and challenges are not obstacles to success, but actually the very forces that shape success into something unique and beautiful. That's when I understood that my business crisis wasn't a sign that I had made wrong choices, she continues, but a signal that I was ready to evolve to the next level. The tension I was feeling wasn't a problem to be solved, but a creative force to be channeled. As she speaks, you feel your own relationship with challenge and difficulty beginning to transform, recognizing that what you've been interpreting as obstacles might actually be the universe's way of sculpting your success into something even more magnificent than you had originally imagined. I went back to my studio that night, Zara says, her voice taking on the excitement of someone recounting a breakthrough moment. And I painted with more passion and clarity than I had felt in years. But this time, instead of painting to escape the business world, I painted to integrate it. I created a series called Commerce and Soul that explored how money and meaning could dance together in perfect harmony. The fountain's gentle sounds seem to emphasize her words, and you find yourself naturally visualizing this integration, seeing in your mind's eye how apparent opposites can actually be complementary forces that create something more beautiful together than either could create alone. That series became my most successful collection ever, she continues, her reflection shimmering in the fountain's pool. Museums competed to acquire pieces. Collectors offered prices I had never dreamed possible. But more importantly, creating those paintings taught me that the highest form of art comes not from rejecting the practical world, but from finding ways to infuse the practical world with soul and meaning. You feel these insights penetrating deep into your consciousness, understanding that this principle applies far beyond the art world, that the most successful and fulfilling life comes from integrating all aspects of yourself rather than keeping them in separate compartments. Close your eyes again, Zara says gently, her voice taking on the soothing quality of guided meditation. And listen to the sound of this fountain for a moment. Notice how the water doesn't fight against the stones that shape its flow. It collaborates with them to create something beautiful. As you close your eyes and focus on the fountain's gentle music, you find yourself naturally settling into an even deeper state of relaxation and receptivity. The sound of flowing water seems to wash away any remaining tension or resistance in your body and mind. Now imagine, Zara's voice continues, flowing over you like warm honey, that your own life is like this fountain, and all the challenges you've faced, all the obstacles that have seemed to block your path to abundance, are actually the stones that have been shaping your unique flow toward prosperity. As this metaphor takes shape in your imagination, you begin to see your past struggles in a completely new light, not as evidence that success is difficult for you, but as evidence that your success, when it comes, will be uniquely beautiful because of the particular path it has taken. Feel how the water of your creativity, your gifts, your unique value, Zara continues, has been learning to flow around every obstacle, gathering strength and beauty with each challenge overcome. Notice how every difficulty has actually made your eventual success more magnificent, more meaningful, more sustainable. You feel a profound sense of peace settling over you as you recognize the truth in this perspective, understanding that everything you've experienced has been preparing you for the abundance that is naturally flowing toward you now. The water doesn't question whether it deserves to flow. Zara's voice continues, becoming softer and more hypnotic. It doesn't wonder whether it's good enough, or talented enough, or worthy enough. It simply flows, naturally and inevitably, toward its destined destination. As these words penetrate your subconscious mind, you feel old patterns of self-doubt and unworthiness beginning to dissolve like salt in warm water, replaced by a natural confidence in your own creative and financial potential. And just like this water, she continues, your abundance doesn't have to be earned or justified or proven. It simply flows from your authentic gifts toward the people who need what you have to offer, creating beauty and value wherever it goes. The fountain's gentle rhythm seems to be programming this understanding directly into your nervous system, creating new neural pathways that support effortless abundance rather than struggling effort. Open your eyes slowly, Zara says, and notice how everything around you seems to reflect this same principle of natural flow toward beauty and abundance. As you gradually open your eyes, you find that the evening scene around you has taken on an almost magical quality. The lights from the galleries seem brighter, the conversations from nearby cafes sound more musical, and everything feels charged with creative and financial possibility. This entire district, Zara says, gesturing to the thriving creative community surrounding you, operates on fountain principles. Each business, each artist, each creative venture allows their unique gifts to flow naturally toward the people who value them most. Nobody here is struggling against their nature. They're all flowing with it. As you look around with this new understanding, you begin to see the evening scene as a living demonstration of how abundance works when it's aligned with natural principles rather than forced through struggle and effort. Shall we continue walking? Zara asks, and you find yourself naturally wanting to explore more of this magical district, to absorb more of the insights and energy that seem to be available everywhere you look. As you continue along the riverside path, you notice how each gallery, each studio, each creative space has its own unique energy and focus, yet all contribute to the larger flow of abundance that characterizes the entire area. It's as if you're walking through a physical manifestation of creative and financial harmony. That building there, Zara says, pointing to an elegant converted warehouse with large windows that reveal artists working inside, houses 12 different creative businesses: painters, sculptors, jewelry designers, photographers, even a woman who creates custom perfumes. They all share resources, refer clients to each other, collaborate on projects. You can see through the windows how the different artists move through their shared space with easy familiarity, occasionally stopping to observe each other's work or engage in animated conversation. The scene radiates collaboration and mutual support rather than competition or scarcity. When I first proposed this kind of shared creative space, Zara continues, people told me it would never work. Artists are too competitive, they said. Creative people are too individualistic to share resources successfully. But what we discovered was exactly the opposite. As she describes this collaborative model, you begin to understand something profound about how abundance actually works in the real world, not through competition and hoarding, but through collaboration and generous sharing of resources and opportunities. The more these artists supported each other's success, she continues, the more successful each of them became individually. Clients who came looking for paintings discovered sculptures they wanted to commission. People who came for photography sessions left with custom jewelry. Instead of competing for a limited pool of resources, they were expanding the pool for everyone. The evening air carries with it the sound of easy laughter from the shared studio space, and you feel a warm recognition that this model of collaborative abundance could apply to any field, any industry, any area of life where people want to create mutual prosperity. This is one of the most important things I learned about building sustainable wealth, Zara says, her voice taking on the authority of someone who has tested these principles extensively. Abundance isn't a solo journey. The most successful people are always those who have learned to create success for others as well as themselves. As you continue walking, you notice how the path begins to curve away from the busier gallery district toward a quieter area where the landscaping becomes more lush and natural. The transition feels completely organic, as if the evening is naturally progressing toward deeper insights and more profound transformation. We're coming to my favorite part of the district, Zara says, her voice becoming softer as the evening sounds around you become more gentle and contemplative. This is where I come when I want to connect with the deeper spiritual aspects of creativity and abundance. As you round a curve in the path, you discover a beautiful garden area where sculptures are placed among flowering trees and aromatic herbs. The space feels like a sanctuary, a place designed for reflection and inner connection. Soft lighting illuminates the artwork without overwhelming the natural beauty of the plantings. Zara says, this garden represents the understanding that true abundance is always multidimensional, leading you to a comfortable bench positioned among the fragrant plantings. It's not just about money, though money is important and wonderful. It's about creating beauty, serving others, building community, connecting with something larger than yourself. As you settle into the garden bench, you feel the most profound relaxation you've experienced all evening. The combination of natural beauty, artistic inspiration, and Zara's gentle wisdom creates perfect conditions for the deepest insights to emerge. Breathe in the fragrance of these night-blooming flowers, she says, and as you do, you notice how the scent seems to carry with it a sense of infinite possibility, as if the very air is charged with creative and financial potential. These plants teach us something important about abundance, Zara continues, her voice blending perfectly with the gentle evening sounds of rustling leaves and distant water. They don't struggle to bloom. They don't question whether they deserve to be beautiful. They simply follow their nature, drawing nutrients from the soil and energy from the sun, and expressing their unique beauty as naturally as breathing. As you absorb this metaphor, you feel something profound shifting in your understanding of how success works. The recognition that abundance, like blooming, might be less about effort and more about alignment with natural principles. And notice how each plant contributes to the beauty of the whole garden, she continues, while maintaining its own unique characteristics. The roses don't try to be like the jasmine. The lavender doesn't compete with the hibiscus. Each one expresses its authentic nature and creates value simply by being itself. The fragrance of the various flowers creates a complex and beautiful symphony of scents, and you find yourself naturally breathing more deeply, allowing these insights about authenticity and abundance to penetrate into the deepest layers of your consciousness. This is the secret that took me years to understand, Zara says, her voice taking on the intimacy of someone sharing their most precious discovery. Success isn't about becoming someone different than who you are. It's about becoming more fully who you already are, about expressing your authentic gifts so clearly and generously that the world can't help but respond with appreciation and abundance. As these words settle into your being, you feel old patterns of trying to be someone else, trying to fit into other people's definitions of success, naturally beginning to dissolve. In their place, a quiet confidence in your own unique value begins to emerge. Let me share with you the meditation that changed everything for me, Zara says, her voice becoming even softer, more hypnotic. The practice that shifted me from struggling against my nature to flowing with it, from fighting for success to allowing it to emerge naturally. You find yourself naturally settling even deeper into the bench, feeling completely supported by the evening atmosphere as Zara begins to guide you into what feels like the most important part of your entire journey together. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths, she begins, her voice flowing like honey over your consciousness. With each breath, feel yourself releasing any tension, any resistance, any belief that abundance has to be difficult or complicated. As you follow her guidance, you feel waves of relaxation flowing through your body, releasing not just physical tension, but mental and emotional patterns that have been limiting your natural flow toward prosperity. Now imagine that you're a seed, she continues, containing within yourself everything you need to grow into magnificent abundance. You don't need to know how you'll grow or what exact form your success will take. You just need to trust the intelligence that's already within you. The metaphor feels completely natural, and you find yourself easily visualizing this seed version of yourself, feeling the potential that lies dormant within, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. Feel yourself planted in rich, fertile soil, Zara's voice continues. Soil that represents all of your experiences, all of your learning, all of the unique perspectives and skills you've developed throughout your life. Even the difficult experiences become nutrients that support your growth. As you sink into this visualization, you begin to understand how everything you've lived through has been preparing you for the abundance that wants to emerge through you now. Feel the gentle warmth of sunlight beginning to reach you, she continues. Sunlight that represents all of the opportunities, all of the support, all of the resources that are already available to help you grow into your full potential. The visualization becomes more and more vivid as she speaks, and you begin to feel yourself naturally beginning to sprout, to grow, to reach toward the abundance that is your natural birthright. Notice how you don't have to force your growth. Zara's voice flows over you like warm rain. You simply allow it to happen naturally, trusting the intelligence within you to guide the process. Your growth toward abundance is as natural as a plant growing toward light. You feel something profound releasing in your consciousness, old patterns of forcing and struggling, giving way to a natural flow of allowing and receiving. As you continue to grow, she continues, you begin to notice that your success naturally creates value for others as well. Your roots help to stabilize the soil for other plants. Your leaves provide shade and beauty. Your flowers attract beneficial insects. Your very existence makes the entire garden more beautiful and abundant. The understanding that your success contributes to the success of others settles into your consciousness like rain, soaking into dry earth, dissolving any remaining guilt or hesitation about claiming your full abundance. And as you reach your full flowering, Zara's voice becomes almost whisper soft. You realize that this abundance was always your destiny, always your natural state. You were never meant to struggle or lack or limit yourself. You were always meant to bloom magnificently and share your unique beauty with the world. The visualization reaches a crescendo of beauty and possibility, and you feel yourself naturally integrating this new understanding of abundance as your birthright rather than something you have to earn or deserve. Now, slowly and gently, Zara whispers, allow this visualization to fade while keeping the feeling of natural abundance flowing through your consciousness. Know that this understanding will continue to grow and develop within you as you sleep tonight and in all the nights to come. As you gradually return your attention to the garden around you, you find that everything looks somehow different, more alive, more full of possibility. The flowers seem more fragrant, the sculptures more meaningful, the entire evening more magical. How do you feel? Zara asks gently, and you realize that something fundamental has shifted in your relationship with abundance and success. The old struggle and effort have been replaced by a quiet confidence in your natural ability to attract and create prosperity. This garden, she says, gesturing to the beautiful space surrounding you, was created by artists who understand these principles. Every sculpture, every planting, every design element represents the integration of beauty and abundance, creativity and commerce, personal expression and service to others. As you look around the garden with your newly opened awareness, you begin to see how each element contributes to the whole while maintaining its unique character. The sculptures don't compete with the plants. They enhance each other. The lighting doesn't overpower the natural beauty. It reveals it more fully. This is what your life looks like when you align with these principles. Zara continues, her voice carrying the satisfaction of someone who has found the key to sustainable prosperity. Everything works together harmoniously. Your creativity supports your abundance, and your abundance supports your creativity. Your personal success creates opportunities for others, and others' success creates opportunities for you. The evening air has grown cooler and more fragrant, and you find yourself naturally breathing more deeply, absorbing not just the physical atmosphere, but the entire understanding that Zara has been sharing with you throughout this magical evening. Are you ready for the final part of our journey tonight? She asks, and something in her tone suggests that the most transformational experience is still to come. You find yourself nodding, feeling completely open and ready for whatever wisdom she wants to share. There's one more place I want to show you, she says, rising gracefully from the bench. The space where all of this began, where the seed of this entire district was first planted. As you follow her along a smaller path that leads away from the garden toward what appears to be a more secluded area, you feel a sense of anticipation building. The path is lit by small solar lights that create just enough illumination to guide your way while maintaining the peaceful, contemplative atmosphere. Right here, Zara says, stopping beside what appears to be a section of concrete wall that has been preserved and incorporated into a small memorial garden. This is the wall where I painted my first commissioned mural, the phoenix rising from concrete flames. As you approach the wall, you can see how the original mural has been carefully maintained and protected, now serving as the centerpiece of a small contemplative space with benches and plantings arranged around it. The phoenix still seems to rise from the concrete with vibrant energy, its wings extending beyond the boundaries of the original composition. Every time I come here, Zara says, settling onto one of the benches facing the mural, I remember that transformation is always possible, that abundance is always available, that the only thing that ever stands between us and our dreams is our willingness to begin exactly where we are, with exactly what we have. The mural seems to glow in the soft evening light, and you find yourself naturally drawn into its energy of rising, transformation, and rebirth. The phoenix's eyes seem to look directly at you, as if recognizing something in you that is ready to emerge. This phoenix represents every person who has ever felt stuck, limited, or blocked in their pursuit of creative and financial abundance, Zara says, her voice taking on the cadence of someone sharing the deepest truth they know. And its rising represents the moment when we stop believing in our limitations and start acting on our possibilities. As you gaze at the powerful image, you feel something stirring in your own consciousness, a recognition that your own phoenix moment might be approaching, that your own transformation from struggle to abundance might be closer than you think. The beautiful thing about phoenix energy, Zara continues, is that it doesn't require perfect conditions to emerge. It doesn't need ideal circumstances or unlimited resources or guaranteed outcomes. It just needs the decision to stop accepting less than what's possible and start creating what's necessary. The mural's vibrant colors seem to pulse with life in the evening light, and you find yourself naturally breathing in rhythm with the phoenix's rising energy, feeling your own creative and financial potential beginning to stir and awaken. I want you to stand right here, Zara says, guiding you to a position directly in front of the mural, and make contact with your own phoenix energy. Feel the part of you that is ready to rise from whatever limitations have been constraining your abundance. As you stand facing the mural, you feel a powerful energy beginning to build in your consciousness, a recognition that you carry within yourself the same transformational potential that Zara has demonstrated in her journey from struggling street artist to multi-million-dollar gallery owner. Place your hand on your heart, she instructs gently, and feel the phoenix within you beginning to stir. Feel all of your gifts, all of your experiences, all of your unique value beginning to organize itself into a form that can serve the world while creating abundance for yourself. As you follow her guidance, you feel a warm energy beginning to build in your chest, a sense of power and possibility that seems to grow stronger with each breath. Now speak these words aloud, Zara says, her voice carrying the authority of someone who has tested these principles and found them to be absolutely true. I am ready to rise. I am ready to transform my gifts into abundance. I am ready to serve the world with my creativity while creating prosperity for myself. As you speak these words, you feel them resonating not just in your voice, but throughout your entire being, creating new neural pathways, new patterns of belief, new expectations about what's possible for your creative and financial future. I choose abundance, you continue, feeling the words gaining power as you speak them. I choose to honor my gifts by making them financially sustainable. I choose to stop struggling for my art and start prospering because of it. With each declaration, you feel old patterns of limitation and scarcity dissolving like morning mist, replaced by a clear, strong intention to claim your natural birthright of creative and financial abundance. Feel this commitment settling into every cell of your body, Zara guides, becoming part of your DNA, part of your automatic responses, part of your natural way of moving through the world. The energy of transformation feels complete and integrated now, and you understand that something fundamental has shifted in your relationship with money, creativity, and success. This is how every Phoenix journey begins, Zara says, her voice filled with warmth and recognition. With a moment of clear intention, a decision to stop accepting limitations and start creating possibilities. As you step back from the mural, you feel yourself carrying the Phoenix energy with you, knowing that this transformational power is now available to you whenever you need to call upon it. The rest of the journey, Zara continues as you both settle onto the bench facing the mural, happens through consistent action aligned with this new understanding. Small steps, daily practices, gradual building of the structures that will support your emerging abundance. The evening has now transitioned fully into night, and the mural is illuminated by carefully placed spotlights that make the Phoenix appear to glow with inner fire. The effect is both beautiful and inspiring, a perfect reminder of the transformational power that lies within everyone. But tonight, Zara says, her voice becoming softer and more soothing, tonight is just about absorbing these new understandings, allowing them to settle into your subconscious mind, where they can take root and begin to influence your thoughts, feelings, and actions in ways that support your highest creative and financial potential. As she speaks, you feel yourself naturally settling into an even deeper state of relaxation and receptivity, your conscious mind becoming quieter, while your subconscious becomes more open to receiving and integrating the transformational programming that has been woven throughout your entire evening together. Close your eyes one more time, Zara says, her voice taking on the quality of a lullaby, and allow yourself to drift into a state of perfect peace and possibility. Feel yourself surrounded by the energy of abundance, supported by the understanding that your success is not only possible, but inevitable when you align with the correct principles. As you close your eyes and sink into this final meditation, you feel waves of peace and possibility flowing through your consciousness, washing away any remaining doubt or resistance to your own creative and financial potential. Feel yourself floating in an ocean of abundance. Zara's voice continues, becoming dreamier and more hypnotic, surrounded by infinite resources, infinite opportunities, infinite support for your creative and financial success. The visualization becomes effortless and natural, and you find yourself drifting in this ocean of possibility, feeling completely safe and supported as you absorb the understanding that abundance is your natural state. In this ocean, she continues, there is no scarcity, no competition, no struggle. There is only the gentle flow of creativity and abundance moving through countless beings, supporting everyone in the expression of their unique gifts and the creation of their personal prosperity. You feel yourself becoming one with this flow, understanding that your success is not separate from others' success, but part of the same infinite stream of abundance that flows through everyone who aligns with these principles. As you drift in this ocean, Zara's voice becomes barely above a whisper. Allow yourself to absorb the complete knowing that you are worthy of abundance, that your gifts are valuable, that your success will serve not only yourself, but everyone whose life you touch with your creativity. These understandings penetrate deep into your subconscious mind, where they will continue to influence your thoughts, feelings, and actions long after this evening ends. And now, she whispers so softly that her voice seems to come from inside your own consciousness. Allow yourself to drift gently towards sleep, carrying with you the complete knowing that your transformation has already begun, that your abundance is already flowing toward you, that your phoenix has already started to rise. As you feel yourself naturally transitioning towards sleep, you carry with you the energy of the entire evening, the riverside galleries, the fountain wisdom, the garden meditation, the phoenix activation, all of it integrating into a new understanding of how creativity and abundance dance together in perfect harmony. Sleep deeply. Zara's voice seems to come from very far away now, knowing that every hour of rest is programming your subconscious mind for creative and financial success, that every dream is rehearsing your abundant future, that every morning you awaken more aligned with your natural prosperity. Your breathing becomes slower and deeper as you drift toward the edge of sleep, feeling completely peaceful and aligned with your highest creative and financial potential. And remember, comes the final whisper, so soft it might be your own inner voice. The phoenix always rises. Your abundance is inevitable. Your success is natural. Your prosperity is already on its way. As sleep gently embraces you, you carry with you the complete knowing that your transformation from struggling creator to abundant artist has already begun, that Zara's journey is now your journey, that her success has lit the path for your own phoenix rising. The river continues its eternal flow toward the sea. The galleries continue to glow with creative energy. And somewhere in the peaceful space between waking and sleeping, your new understanding of abundance takes root in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, where it will grow and flourish into the magnificent reality of creative and financial success that is your natural birthright. In your dreams tonight, you paint masterpieces that sell for extraordinary prices. You build businesses that serve the world while creating wealth. You express your authentic gifts so powerfully that abundance flows toward you, like water toward the sea. And when you awaken, you carry with you the quiet confidence that these dreams are not fantasies, but previews of the abundant reality that is already unfolding in your life. Your phoenix has begun to rise. Your abundance has begun to flow. Your transformation is already complete in the realm of possibility. And now it's simply a matter of allowing it to manifest in the realm of form. Sleep deeply, dream abundantly, and awaken tomorrow with the clear knowing that your creative and financial success is not just possible, it's inevitable.